Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on KAKM for Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Looking at the warning advisory map, dense advisories for dense smoke out through noon tomorrow, for tonight through noon tomorrow for the northern Kuskokwim Valley and the McGrath area there, and for the central interior around the Tanana area, and also for the lower Koyukuk and middle Yukon River valleys. That's the greater Galena area, including locations like Poor Man and Ruby and those areas. And that's for visibilities to, again, this evening become reduced to a mile or less in smoke. And in some cases, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, some of these visibilities will be down to maybe as low as a quarter to a half a mile, like they were this morning, and then improving in the afternoon. Again, that's out until noontime tomorrow, at which time they'll either kick it out longer or cancel it. On the satellite imagery, a lot of clouds here over the Gulf of Alaska, rotating north and northwest along the North Gulf Coast, and some of that sliding eastward in across the Panhandle. A lot of cloudiness here over the southeast interior. Bristol Bay seeing rain with a trough out here across the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island. Another band of moisture right up through here, and that all rotating north again, keeping the North Gulf Coast, producing a fair amount of rain in some areas, and again across the Copper River Basin and the Panhandle. You can see more clearing, more sunshine up over the central and northern interior areas here, where temperatures rose into the lower to mid 70s this afternoon. And then an extensive area of low clouds up along the north slope, pretty slow to burn off today there. And then some areas of fog back along the eastern Arctic coast, and better conditions out here to the west with those easterly winds kicking up to 25 miles an hour in gusts at Point Lay, making for better flying conditions there than they were on the eastern side. And then again, a lot of clouds here out over the Bering Sea. The Aleutians mostly cloudy, but there was some clearing out toward Shemya this afternoon. Otherwise, showers and gusty winds across Adak up to about 25 miles an hour from the west. And we've got low pressure right in this position here, gradually moving eastward, and a band of moisture right across Kodiak Island, another band right through here, and that all lifting northward to the North Gulf Coast. And again, a fair amount of rain falling across the Copper River Basin, anywhere from a third to a half an inch falling in the Copper River Basin. Along the North Gulf Coast, Cordova picked up 7/10 of an inch of rain, and across the Panhandle, amounts ranged from about a third of an inch at Juneau to 8/10 of an inch at Ketchikan. So a lot of rain here to go along with the cloudiness conditions here, but showers all across the North Gulf Coast, the southeast coast. Areas of rain from Kodiak Island, especially in across the Bristol Bay area, with scattered showers over the Alaska Peninsula. Thunderstorms developed this afternoon from the Susitna Valley and extended westward across the Kuskokwim Valley, all the way out to the Yukon and Kuskokwim deltas. Both Bethel and Kilburg picked up about half an inch of rain from thunderstorms this afternoon. Less of that up to the north again, where the sunshine was a little more common, and the smoke was pretty common too here over the central interior, extending back to the west all the way to the Seward Peninsula. Low clouds and fog from the Bering Strait down into St. Lawrence Island. Again, all the clouds out here over the Bering Sea. For tonight, same pattern here. Occasional rain up along the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound and across the Kenai Peninsula. Mostly cloudy, scattered showers for south central Alaska. Mostly cloudy with scattered showers also for the Panhandle. And evening thunderstorms and scattered showers here up over the interior. Mostly, again, southern half of the state. The northern areas will be drier with more sunshine, but again, the dense smoke advisories here for the central interior down into the northern Kuskokwim Valley, and then back out to the west with some of that smoke again all the way out to the Seward Peninsula areas. But mostly clear skies, or at least dry conditions up over the northwest part of the state. Along the north slope, again, low clouds and fog there, but most of the fog will be out toward the Arctic coast there from about Barrow eastward here to Kaktovik, Barter Island, and those areas. Weakening low just near the Pribilof Islands. That's going to keep it pretty showery here over the southeast Bering Sea, as well as the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians on out to the Adak and Atka areas, but pretty light winds with areas of low clouds and fog forming out towards Shimia and Attu. And then for tomorrow, same forecast here, rain along the North Gulf Coast, periods of here from about Yakutat in across Cordova, Valdez back down toward the Kenai Peninsula with showers over south central Alaska, mostly cloudy skies, thunderstorms again developing over the eastern interior areas, the upper Yukon Valley, back to the west here to the Nulato Hills, and again could have some thunderstorms develop over the Auckland, Kilbuck Mountains here over the southwest, and even over the Yukon Delta again, and also for the western Alaska Range and the central Brooks Range. Pretty good chance of seeing some thunderstorm activity up there, even on the eastern Brooks Range. But low clouds and fog again along the Arctic coast there, with morning clouds bringing off to afternoon sunshine for the North Slope. Mostly sunny skies here for the upper Yukon, Koyukuk Valley areas back out to the west toward Buckland, or not Buckland, but Ambler, and on towards Selawik. Kotzebue looking pretty good. That whole area, pretty light winds with partly to mostly sunny skies. And again, the rain here along the southeast coast, areas of rain and showers once again, but that should become a little more intermittent with more of a scattered shower condition, which means could be a few more breaks in the clouds, and which means some sunny periods could show up, but again, not taking the showers completely out of the forecast. Again, with mostly cloudy skies. Same pattern for the North Gulf Coast. Instead of periods of rain, just scattered showers here. A little bit drier conditions in store for Tuesday. South Central Alaska, not much change. Mostly cloudy skies, isolated scattered showers. Thunderstorms developing possibly over the Talkeetna Mountains, maybe in the Susitna Valley over to the Wrangels, and also the eastern interior, upper Yukon Valley, 40-mile country, chance of thunderstorms there, as well as back along the Alaska Range in the Kuskokwim Valley southwestward to the Auckland Mountains here in the southwest once again. Scattered showers from eastern Norton Sound down across the Kuskokwim Delta areas, but the driest areas again over the north central and northwest part of the state. Best chance of seeing sunshine will be in those locations, although it could break out even down here over the southern areas. No change along the Arctic coast, areas of low clouds and fog, central and eastern Arctic coast, and those winds not quite as brisk here on the west side, so conditions may come down a little bit there, but low clouds and fog through the Bering Strait down into the Bering Sea, and some scattered showers and just a lot of clouds here along the Aleutians. With temperatures this afternoon, upper 50s to lower 60s across the southeast coast, 66 at Annette and 67 up at Skagway, two of the warmer locations this afternoon, 61 at Yakutat, 56 again with 7/10 of an inch of rain at Cordova this afternoon, 57 and rain in Valdez, 64 at Gulkana, 68 at Northway with some clouds, but lower 70s, a little more sunshine there over the mid-Tanana Valley. Tanana up to 75 and 72 at Bettles, 61 Anatuvik, 54 over at Arctic Village, a little cooler there, and kind of a northeast wind kept it cool along the eastern Arctic coast, 41 at Dead Horse Barrow, 39 this afternoon, but Point Lay up to 53 with more of an easterly wind direction, 60 at Kivalina, 59 at Kotzebue, and 63 both at Golovin and Nome there, with some smoky conditions starting to show up around Golovin this afternoon, with 70 degrees at McGrath and Sleepmute, 68 degrees with Sparravon at 68 also, 53 with the rain and thunderstorms that went through earlier at Bethel. And then out along the coast, temperatures in the mid to upper 60s out through here. Amonic up to 70 this afternoon. 51 at St. Paul and St. George, and that temperature pattern also down over the eastern Aleutians on Alaska at 51. Mid 40s over the central Aleutians. Shimia with some sunshine pushed up to 50. And lower 50s increasing to upper 50s here as you move northeast along the Alaska Peninsula, with 58 at Pilot Point and 57 at King Salmon. Lows for tonight in the mid to upper 50s here along the Panhandle, with upper 40s to lower 50s across the Copper River Basin into south central Alaska. Mid to upper 50s here over the west central interior areas. The Arctic coast, North Slope, temperatures dropping into the 30s there, right up to the northern slopes of the Brooks Range. Otherwise in the 40s through the mountains up here. 40s out along the west coast, with mid 40s for the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow back into the 70s here, Seward Peninsula areas, Buckland pushing up to 77. That same forecast also for Ambler. Noatak should reach 76 tomorrow, so more sunshine in these areas, about the same as today here through the central interior. Up along the Arctic coast, temperatures in the 40s to lower 50s, and mostly in the lower to mid 60s here. South central Alaska, Susitna Valley could push into the upper 60s tomorrow, and upper 50s to lower 60s across the southeast coast with those mostly cloudy skies and showers, and not much change out here over the Aleutians, upper 40s to lower 50s. Flying weather shows quite an extensive area of IFR here from the northern panhandle up along the North Gulf Coast, in across southeastern Prince William Sound, and then down across Montague Island along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula. Some marginal VFR up along western Cook Inlet over to the western Alaska Range, and then IFR due to smoke here over the central interior back to the west a little bit there and into the northern Kuskokwim Valley, and also some marginal VFR possible over the border area, the upper Yukon Valley, 40-mile country from about Northway all the way up to maybe just north of Eagle. Marginal VFR and areas of IFR along the central and eastern Arctic coast, and that pattern extending down through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. Lots of IFR expected out here over the Aleutians and the southern Bering Sea. Passes not looking too bad for Anaktuvik. Both Anaktuvik and Atigun will be VFR tomorrow. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, possible marginal VFR on the eastern approaches, but otherwise through the pass into the west it'll be VFR. That same forecast also for Rainy. And for windy VFR conditions, both entrances, Isabel and Mentasta will be VFR. Marginal VFR for Tanita. Portage, like today, lowest conditions on the eastern entrance and marginal VFR through the pass into the west. Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. Freezing levels here about 8,000 feet over interior Alaska, with 6,000 feet down around Kodiak Island, extending westward all across the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians out to almost the Komodorsky Islands. And icing threats up along the North Gulf Coast, mostly above about 7,000 feet here. Panhandle, North Gulf Coast, possibly into the southern Copper River Basin, back across the Kenai Peninsula areas. Otherwise, no significant icing expected anywhere else. And the upper level wind flow chart showing this upper level system gradually moving eastward right over the Alaska Peninsula tomorrow. The main flow coming across to the south splits here, with one branch coming up into the southeast coast, but only at about 40 knots, and even lighter flow at this altitude, 33,000 feet here over mainland Alaska. 9,000-foot wind showing a southwest fetch of wind here, keeping those showers rolling into the panhandle at only 10 to 15 knots though, and up to 20 knots out of the northwest, so not too strong on the winds here at both 3,000 feet, just 10 knots out of the east here over southern Alaska, maybe up to 20 knots over the east central interior areas. And at 3,000 feet, could see some 30-knot winds again from the western Arctic coast, and extending down through the Bering Strait to maybe St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, westerlies at about 20 there for the eastern Aleutians, taking a turn to the north, but diminishing, just 0 to 5 knots here over southern Alaska. Could be some easterly to northeasterly drift to the winds there, up to 15 knots through the central interior. Otherwise, south to southwest, 10 to 15, and across the panhandle. Turbulence-wise, not a whole lot, maybe some below 3,000 feet here of the light to isolated moderate variety on the western Arctic coast down to Cape Lisburne and Point Hope. Otherwise pretty smooth, relatively smooth here across just about the remainder of Alaska. And another area could possibility from Nikolsky out to Adak could be some light to isolated moderate turbulence below about 4,000 feet out in that area. Otherwise really nothing significant in the way of turbulence at all for Monday and possibly Tuesday as well. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Jim Peranto. Today we're going to talk about the Voluntary Observing Ships Program, or VOS program as it is sometimes called. Now, the ships that are participating in this program provide much needed observations to both the marine and the scientific communities. And today I have Larry Hubble in studio, and he is the Anchorage Port Meteorological Officer, and he's going to discuss the importance of the VOS program here in Alaska. Welcome, Larry. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
So what is the purpose of the VOS program in Alaska?
Well, the Earth is covered by over 70% water. Alaska has a huge coastline. Very important to all of our customers to find out what the weather's doing out there. And we've developed a program to gather meteorological information to provide actual on-scene weather condition reports from all of our stormy waters, and it helps our forecasters do a better job providing accurate forecasts.
And what kind of information is gathered by these ships?
The ships can volunteer and report to the extent that they're available and to the extent that they have the equipment, but they give us their latitude, longitude, wind conditions, pressure, temperature, humidity, icing, ice conditions, wave heights.
A lot of information.
Weather, clouds.
Wow.
Some ships don't care to participate at a full level, but wind and pressure and temperature are very important to us.
Yeah, well, as a forecaster, I know that is very important to the operational forecaster when they get that kind of information to do the forecasts.
Yes.
What types of ships participate in this program?
Seems like we go after almost anything that floats. we love the container ships, the tug ships that are hauling fuel and cargo up there. They really support and serve Alaska. We encourage all the tugs to participate, and we have the cruise ship industry has really been good to us. The Alaska ferries. We have research ships, NOAA vessels actually, we have 3 of them home ported in Alaska waters. There's the tanker trade going into Valdez is very important to us. We're on a major shipping route. The Great Circle route between the western United States and Asia actually goes through Alaska water. Many of the container ships are very important to us.
So you talked about the type of information that is being gathered. Now, how is this data being collected on the ships?
You know, the ships have a package of weather instruments. Most of the major ships have weather equipment on board, and so one of our primary methods is a computer software program called Amber Seas that we provide free of charge to the ships. And it provides an easy coding method to get it into the World Meteorological Organization code. And they'll type in the parameters, temperature, wind, and pressure, and it codes it up for them, and it puts it in a format ready to transmit.
And this equipment is free of charge, right? I mean, I think
Yes.
it's important to stress that, you know.
Free of charge. Some of the ships maybe don't have the computer equipment, not really equipped to be a major contributor, and they'll look out their cabin window and estimate the sea conditions. They'll have a thermometer, and they may contact us via HF radio or VHF radio.
And when they're transmitting the data, that's also free of charge, is that correct?
It is. We pay for the satellite costs via Inmarsat-C or Inmarsat-A, and one of the things that we pioneered in Alaska was receiving ship observations via email. And we've been doing that for about 6 years now, and we get up to 7,000 emails a month.
Wow.
From around the world. This thing has gone worldwide, and Alaska is the portal for email observations from around the world.
That's incredible. That's outstanding. You have this contest that you guys have come up with up here in Alaska, and I think it's fascinating. Tell us about the contest.
Many of our marine community are competitive by nature, and we decided to have some fun with that, and we get the individual ships and tugs competing with one another. Sometimes we'll have a Crowley competition or a Horizon Lines competition to see who can take the most weather observations. And some have asked how many weather observations can we take, and I'll say send us 24 a day. We'll take 1 an hour if you have time. And we're thankful for those that just send 1 a day or a few a month. But the ships like to be number 1, and so I have a global league that all the top ships in the whole world are competing in my league, and I have a Horizon Lines league, and I have a certain tug leagues, and it's been very fun, I think, for both them and me as well, because the numbers keep going up every year.
What's the record, the world record? Is there? I can't remember if it was Arctic Sun had was it 4,000 or something like that?
Yeah, the Arctic Sun continues to set a new world record. They're an LNG tanker that travels between Nikiski and Tokyo, and They broke the new record last year in '06 with over 4,100 observations, and here it is in March of 2007, and they're on a pace to do maybe 6,000 this year if they keep going. These are some competitive men aboard this ship.
That's outstanding. How many ships participate in the VOS program now in Alaska?
We work with about 300 ships, and normally we're trying to get more every year. And
what about in the United States?
The United States program has about 1,000 ships that are in the VOS program.
Okay, and this is a global program, so how many worldwide are participating in the program?
I feel like we have the United States has the premier VOS program, but worldwide we have about 4,000 ships.
Okay, that's a lot of ships. There's a lot of water, so that's good information to be able to get those observations from those ships. Now, how can a ship owner out there get involved in the VOS program?
We have 3 port meteorological officers in Alaska. Those are good contacts.
You being one of them.
Larry Hubble here in Anchorage.
That's
and
you.
Rich Courtney in Kodiak.
Okay.
And Deborah Elliott in Valdez. We'll provide the phone numbers, and email is a good way to contact us. Phone number.
Okay.
Contact a local weather office in Alaska. They'll be happy to get you started.
Kind of point you in the right direction. There's also a website, I believe, right? A national website that people can maybe go to get more information. Is that correct?
It does give a nice overview of the program and a description of the software and the scope of what might be required.
Okay, great. Well, Larry, thank you for coming in today. It's been a pleasure. I've been wanting to get you in here for quite some time, and I think people in Alaska want to know more about the VOS program, so hopefully they have learned more by this segment, and maybe we can get some more ship owners involved in the program. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all the mariners that are supporting already.
Great. And if you want to know more about the VOS program, we mentioned the website. That is www.vos.noaa.gov. You can go there and get more information about the VOS program. There's also a couple email addresses that you can look at either for submitting data or retrieving data. And again, Larry, thank you for coming in today. And thank you for joining us here on Alaska Weather Facts. Until next time.
Welcome back. Well, southerly winds in the forecast along the coast out here on the outer coastline at about 15 knots, with those seas running 5 to 6 feet. And over the inside waters, south to southeast, 10 to 15 knots over the central and southern inside channel areas. And northern Lynn Canal, both tomorrow afternoon and Tuesday afternoon, looking south at about 20 knots with seas roughly at about 4 feet, otherwise lighter 10-knot winds to the south. Now along the outer coastline, southwest at 10, with pretty light winds also here for the north coast, west-south southerly to westerlies, 10 to 15 knots. Seas all along the coastline, 6 feet. With, for Prince William Sound, easterlies at 10 knots. Northeast, 10 knots here for Cook Inlet tomorrow, and a light southwest wind here along the east side of Kodiak Island. Southeasterlies at about 15 here for the North Gulf Coast, Barren Islands, more of an easterly direction for Kamishak Bay. And then light variable winds for Prince William Sound, the entire North Gulf Coast here, 10 knots or less with seas running 2 to 5 feet. Easterly still up to 15 knots for Kamishak Bay, and a southerly wind at about 10, so pretty light winds for Cook Inlet on Tuesday. Light variable winds here for the Shelikof Strait continue both Monday and Tuesday, and southwesterlies at 15. For Bristol Bay, variable winds at 10 knots, and that wind pattern extends all the way down along the Alaska Peninsula here. But on the Pacific side, southwesterlies all the way up to Sitkinak at about 20 knots, with seas running 8 to 9 feet versus 2 to 4 feet here on the Bering Sea side. And then for Tuesday, light variable winds still here for the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula. Bristol Bay, though, southwest 15 in the forecast. Not much change here from Sitkinak all the way down to Cape Sarachev. Actually, southwesterlies at about 20 knots with seas 7 to 8 feet. Out in the Aleutians, for the central Aleutians, westerlies 20 to 25 knots tomorrow and 15 to 25 knots from the west for the Fox Islands. Lighter, more variable winds out here over the western zone there where Shimia is. And then those increase to 20 knots from the north on Tuesday. Light variable winds here for the central Aleutians and most of the eastern Aleutians as well. Variable to southwest, 10 to 15 knots, seas running 3 to 7 feet. And for the southwest coast, variable winds at 10, seas 3 feet or less in this area. Northerlies at about 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island. Light variable winds for the Pribilof Islands. And then for Tuesday, that lasts through Tuesday, light variable winds here for the Pribilofs and also over the northern Bering Sea, west and northwesterlies at about 15 for the southwest coast. Up along the eastern Arctic coast, we've got east-northeast in the forecast there at about 15 knots. Northeast, 15 knots for the central coast and 20-knot winds here all the way down to Wales, a little more northerly there from Wales to Cape Lisburne. And then for the there we go. Tuesday outlook, not much change in the direction or the speed out here on the west side. Very light northeast winds for the eastern Arctic coast and about 15 knots for the central coast. Moving on to tonight again, mostly cloudy, scattered showers here across the Panhandle. Periods of rain from about Yakutat into Cordova, Valdez, and the Seward area of most of Prince William Sound, southern Kenai Peninsula areas, mostly cloudy scattered showers for south central Alaska. Thunderstorms, especially this evening, again from the Susitna Valley back across the Kuskokwim into the Yukon Delta there. Then the dense smoke advisory for the central interior and the lower Koyukuk Valley, northern Kuskokwim Valley areas tonight through noontime tomorrow. Otherwise, mostly dry up here over the northern half of the state with low clouds and fog along the north slope and the eastern Arctic coast. That'll persist into tomorrow. The low clouds burning off to mostly sunny conditions, hopefully over the north slope tomorrow afternoon. Thunderstorms developing along the Brooks Range and over the eastern interior, back along the Alaska Range here in the west, and possibly again over the Talkeetnas, but rain continues up along the North Gulf Coast, and that becomes more showery on.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.